Next question for you, Mr. McCrory. 4 years ago at a debate, I asked you what additional restrictions on abortion you would support, since you said none at that point. Since then, North Carolina's waiting period for abortion has been extended to 3 days, which is the longest term of any state in the country. Are there further restrictions you would support, and how do you qualify that as not a restriction?
Well, first of all, what I did, what I had to do was I stopped restrictions from being done. And believe me, if I had put further restrictions on women's legal right to have abortion, according to the Supreme Court, the courts would have already challenged the current law and overruled us. And I refused to do that. So, yes, there's now a phone call needed, 72 hours versus 24 hours. But in doing that, I stopped much more extreme legislation, which was proposed by the Senate, as you well know, and I threatened a veto. And as Roy knows and everyone, you have to make compromises. And the compromise was a 24-hour phone call versus a 72-hour phone call. Had I not done that, the Senate and the House would have had enough votes to override any veto with much stricter restrictions, very similar to Texas, and I refused to cooperate in that effort. I'll tell you what I am proud of, and I mentioned this during our last debate. I also enforced existing laws. I mean, we had an abortion clinic in Charlotte that was treated women like they were going to a meat market as opposed to seeing a physician with a very serious operation, a very serious procedure, where they weren't even mopping the floor in between abortions. It was revolting. And thank God my secretary, Dr. Aldona Voss, said, that's unacceptable, Governor. We need to shut it down. Now, we've reopened them because we didn't put further the restrictions have to do with the actual medical care of women. I don't know where the Attorney General was during the 14 years that this clinic was open, but it's unacceptable to have women treated that way in our abortion clinics that are legal.
We are out of time for Mr. Cooper.
At this very WRL debate in 2012, when you asked Governor McCrory if he would support new restrictions, he said no. Not only the restrictions that you've discussed so far, he also signed legislation that requires women's ultrasounds to be sent to state government bureaucrats. Now, regardless of how you feel about this issue or this policy, to have a woman's ultrasound sent to bureaucrats is wrong. It is a restriction, and it shows you whether you can trust Governor McCrory. And I don't think you can. I think this is just one of the many issues where he has said one thing and he has done another.
1 second.
Well, I just want to say bureaucrats is quite a word, but the medical professionals to ensure that doctors are following the law regarding abortions after 5 months. And I'm sure Roy agrees that there shouldn't be abortions after 5 months unless for the life of the mother.
Mr. Cecil, would you support tighter restrictions on abortion, the same or loosened?
Not at all tighter. As I've told many people, as a libertarian, I feel that the abortion is an issue that's between the patient and her doctor, or the cis woman and her doctor, and that the government should have virtually no say or control in it, and should minimize or not pay for it. The abortion is a serious problem to the woman. I've got 4 friends that over the past 50 years have had one. It has long lingering effects, and throwing the big hand of government in there to stir it around does not help. So no further restrictions.